Hey there. Thanks for tuning in. You ready for another episode of My Bigfoot Sighting? Alright then, let's do this.
Seen a bunch of run-down no-horse towns where the church is the backbone, love's in the plow, and the five-string melodies grooving, with the farmland rows where the roots run deep, beyond the noise of the busy streets, where the songs of the South are soothing. When I hear the front porch picking down, home rhythm ringing out, I don't run from banjo music. Yeah.
If you'd like to be able to listen to the show without ads and have full access to bonus content, that's an option. To find out how, please go to mybigfootsighting.com.
I'm Pete Buffalohead. I was on episode 119, and I'm back. So I just wanted to go into my stories. Me being me and who I am, in my tribe, I'm with the Ponca Tribe of Oklahoma, and I'm a spiritual advisor for my tribe. I'm one of the youngest. Well, actually, I am the youngest. I'm 54. And my experiences kind of supersede a lot of my seniors, and I'm more called on than my seniors are. Going through all my experiences and everything, I was sitting here thinking about it actually yesterday, and all my run-ins and everything. When we talk about Sasquatches, sometimes people will run into the little people. And little people do exist. They're a spiritual being, just like the Sasquatch is and the dog man is. You know, they're spiritual beings. And I've had a couple run-ins with them. And in our origins, the little people have always been with us. And they were separate from our tribe. They have their own tribe. We got our tribe, and they stay away from us, and we stay away from them. And we respect the little people because of what they can do. Besides being a spiritual entity, they're gifted with powers, magic, or however you want to put it or say it. They're gifted. And some of them can control your mind. Some can make you forget. You know, it just depends on the situation and what's going on. The origins were I've talked with several of my elders on this, and they didn't even know the origins of them. They've just been with us. They've always been with us. And they're a part of my tribe, and they're a part of who we are. And we do respect all beings, all spiritual beings, and we understand that they are real. We've had our fair share of run-ins with them or our encounters with them. And that's pretty much it on the origins of them. But, you know, we were always told to basically, if it's a foggy morning or a light fog in the morning, you kind of look in the fields and stuff like that, and you'll see little lights that are moving around out there. Some will probably pass them off as lightning bugs, but they're not lightning bugs. Here in my area, our situations and the stuff that I've seen in the early foggy mornings, they're different colors. Lightning bugs are a greenish color, but the orbs that we see playing in the fields out here or cruising along the timber lines, they're different colors, or sometimes they're just plain white. And I've seen pink, yellow, orange, red, dark green, a light green, white, mauve. I've seen all colors of them. And this kind of goes into a run-in that I had actually out with the Bigfoots. And this story falls maybe about 2016, 2017. And I do think I did talk about this in episode 117, but it's a refresher. So when dealing with Sasquatches and you make friends with them, sometimes they need to get a hold of you. And what do I mean by that? It's a calling, or it's an urge. You have to go to the woods. You have to go to the woods no matter what. You have to drop everything and just go. And I was fighting the urge to go because, you know, I'm dealing with my work. I've got my family life, and my wife knows I do what I do with Sasquatches. And I told her what was going on. And she told me was just go. And I said, are you sure? And she goes, just go. If they're calling you, get down there. I said, all right then. So I took off. And while I did it, I called my buddy, Bruce, and Bruce went with me. So I went over to Bruce's house and jumped out of the car, and I jumped into his truck, and we had our stuff and we went on down to the woods. And it's about a 10-minute drive from his house to my area. And he goes, what's going on? So I was filling him in. And I said, man, it's this urge. I have to be down here. I'm being called. And he was like, what's that like? I said, it's just a strong feeling I'm being pulled to the woods. And he goes, oh, okay. And he just kind of left it at that. And we got to our spot. We're getting out. And he goes, it's really dark tonight. And I said, yeah, it is. So we grabbed the headlamps and geared up, and we started trekking to where we normally go. And the pulling was getting stronger, so I had to head further north, a little further north more than usual. So we're sitting there, and we finally get to the destination spot. And it's dark. I'm not joking. It's dark. Had a little bit of moonlight, really, really cloudy. The moon peers through, and you can just get a light. You can barely see, but you can make out things. And I was sitting there and I said, well, I'm here, guys. What's going on? What's up? What's the word? You guys called me. I didn't call you. So I'm here. And we stood there for about 15 minutes and it was dead silence, and I'm like, hey, Bruce, anything with you? And he goes, nope, I don't see anything. And I don't feel nothing. I was like, okay, well, all right, we hung out another 10 minutes. Then finally he goes, hey, Pete, come here. So I walked over to where he was at, and now we're both facing north. He says, you see this tree right here? And I said, yeah. He goes, look between the fork on this tree. You're going to see a big cedar tree. Is that a cedar tree? And I looked between the fork on the tree, and I'm looking. I said, yeah, that's a cedar tree. That's a pretty good sized cedar tree. And after I said that, and we were both looking at it, the cedar tree turned sideways and started walking west. And I'm just like, okay, that's not a cedar tree. And we kind of started laughing. And he goes, what's going on? I said, I don't know. I don't know if we got to stay here longer or what. I don't know. I know I'm tired. And he goes, yeah, I know. And I'm tired. Same thing, And what do you think? I said, I don't know, And he goes, let's give it about another 15 more minutes. So we stayed there another 15 more minutes. And I was facing north, and he was turning around, and he was looking, and he goes, dead silence. And I didn't say anything. I didn't know if he was concentrated or if he was looking at something. I didn't know. Like I said, he's facing south. I'm facing north. And I kind of looked back over where that cedar tree was walking off and which direction it went, And I said, hey, Bruce, that cedar tree, it's still walking. Well, we know what it is. And we started laughing. And about that time, there was a blue little blink. Just blink. It was blue in color. And I'm just like, what the heck is that? I thought I'm seeing things. I know it's dark. Am I seeing things? I don't know. Then all of a sudden it blinked again blue. And it was a kind of a indigo blue. It was actually a pretty blue. And I said, hey, Bruce, did you see the blue light? He goes, yeah, I saw the blue light. You need to turn around and take a look at this. So I turned around. Now I'm facing south. There's a tree directly south of us, maybe about 20 yards. It's a good sized tree. But this tree was lit up. I mean, there had to have been hundreds of orbs on this tree, all different colors. I mean, pretty colors. I mean, you name the color spectrum, they were on this tree. And I'm sitting here thinking, who in the heck would put Christmas lights on a tree? And Bruce goes, those are not Christmas lights. Take a look. And just look closer. So I'm sitting here looking so I picked out one orb or one color in front of me. I kept my eye on it. And next thing you know, I see it moving. And I'm just like, oh, crap. And he's like, yeah, I was thinking the same thing too. And we kind of start laughing. I said, okay, it's time to go. Like I said, when the sun goes down, we're not supposed to be in those woods. The nighttime belongs to them. The entities, the supernatural beings. So we said, let's go. So, I mean, we're already geared up. We said, let's get out of here. Let's go back the same way we came. I said, Bruce, go ahead, take the lead. I'll follow you out. And he goes, all right. So we're walking back south, back to the vehicle. We didn't get no more than 10 yards, and Bruce makes a hard left and goes right back into the thicket of where those little people were, those orbs. And I said, Bruce, what are you doing? He goes, we came this way. I said, no, we didn't. We came this way. Don't you remember? We came down by the tree line and followed all the way down. He was like, oh, okay. So we get back on the trail. I said, go ahead, go. I'm following you. And he took off, and it wasn't maybe 5-6 feet. Boom, he took a hard left again. And I was like, what is wrong with you? And he just looked at me and goes, brother, I think they got me. My Indian compass is broke. And I'm just like, oh, crap. I said, all right. I know how we got down here. I'm following the same path. But I said, brother, just get behind me, put your hand on my shoulder, look down, and we're going to get out of here. So we started walking. We're about 10 minutes into the walk. It's dead silence. I said, you feeling all right? He goes, I'm still feeling a little weird. I said, okay, just keep your head down and put your hand on my shoulder. Keep it there, and let's just keep walking. We're walking, and we get up to the dirt road. And as soon as we get on the dirt road, off to the right side of me, on the west side of me, we get and I'm just like, oh, man, he followed us. And it's a juvenile. I know who this one is. And he just kept whistling at us. And I said, no. I was down there. I expressed my greetings to you guys. I told you I'm here. What did you guys need? You guys never responded. So we're tired and we're going home. And he just kept whistling at us. And I was like, no, I'm telling you, I'm not going home. Now we're walking and he's still whistling on the west side of us, and we're facing south. Now, as we're walking, this female sass started talking to us on the east side of us, on the left side of us. And we both stopped. And I was like, what? And I just basically just halted in my tracks. And he goes, I said, my Ponca's rusty. What is she saying? And Bruce listened to her. And I said, if you can, please say what you just said again. Repeat it, please. And she repeated what she said. And Bruce goes, okay, she wants us to go back down there where we just came from. And I stopped, and I'm already stopped, and I'm looking. I kind of looked to the left of me, and I said, I'm sorry, but we're tired, and we've been down here for an hour now, and no one has said anything. We got to get up and go to work in the morning. We all have jobs. And I mean, if it was a Friday night, no problem. We'd both turn around and head back down there, and we would sit there and talk. But no, we're going home. And she followed us. I mean, a good 50, 60 yards, still trying to plead her case to get us to go back down there. And Bruce started talking back to her in Ponca. And then we get to the corner and heading up the hill to the car, and she just completely stopped. And Bruce, I said, what's going on? I said, well, she's a little upset. And I said, well, I mean, I get it. But at the same time, she should understand us because we were down there, And he goes, I know, but she's a little upset because we should have stayed. And I said, I know, but it's late, man. I mean, it's late. It's almost midnight. So we get in the car, we get in gear, and I said, you feeling all right? And he goes, yeah. I said, you all right to drive? And he goes, yeah, I'm feeling a lot better now. And I said, they got you, didn't they? He goes, yeah, they got me. And we're kind of laughing about it. I said, all right, let's get in there, let's get on back. So we got in the car and we went back to his house, and I got out, jumped in mine, and I headed back to town. That was my encounter with the little people, with the Sasquatches. Now, this other story that I'm going into was, still don't know how they found out where I lived, but I live in town. And there's been a couple times I pull up to the front yard and there's a Sasquatch standing on the side of my house. And I mean, he's a 9-footer. And he's just standing there, and I see him, he sees me, we make eye contact, and boom, he takes off running north around another house. I mean, it's quick, it's fast, and it's like a blink of an eye, and it just blurred. And I'm like, wow. And I just get up and get out of the car and lock it up, and I'm heading inside the house. And I told my wife, hey, there's a Bigfoot outside. She goes, where was he standing? I said, on the north side, right on the corner. I said, I didn't see him until I pulled up. He blended in with the shadows. And she goes, what are they doing in town? I said, well, I don't know. I just kind of left it at that. Well, later on, they knew where I lived. And it wasn't nothing for Bigfoot to be in town and them tapping on the back window. And I wouldn't say anything. And then I would just get And I just started laughing. And about that time they whistled, my wife's in the shower. And she goes, Pete, are you whistling? I said, that's not me. She goes, well, who is it? I said, that's them. They're outside. And she was like, you tell them to get out of here and go back down to the woods. And I said, all right, I'll go outside. So I went out, tipped out the back door. Open the door. I can feel them, but I can't see them. And my neighbor's got a nightlight, big nightlight out in the back on the alley. And I said, I can feel you guys, but I can't see you. What's going on? Why are you up here at my house? What's going on? I didn't get anything. No mind speak, no words, no nothing. I was like, okay, well, my wife's taking a shower. She doesn't want you by the windows. You guys just stay away from that window with the light on and we'll be good. And I went back inside. And then it was probably the next couple of nights it continued to get the whistling. So I'd step out on the back porch and talk with them and see if I can get them to say anything, but they wouldn't ever say anything. It was just the whistling. So I just whistle back. Technically, I'm not supposed to be whistling at night neither. And the reason why we don't whistle at night is when you whistle at night, that high-pitched sound draws in spirits. Now we're getting off the subject, but that's the reason why we don't whistle at night. But anyway, a week goes by. They're not around anymore. I said, well, that's good then. I can handle that. So I come home from work one day and I go into the house and I get into the house and go to the kitchen, make me a sandwich. And I turn around and walk back in the living room. When I walk back in the living room, I see a little person. He was actually standing at the base of the couch around the corner, peeking out and looking at me. And I saw him plain as day. Then he jumped back, pulled himself back behind the edge of the couch. And I'm just like, okay, I'm seeing things now. Whatever. And I continued and sat down, turned the TV on, and I'm watching TV and get up and go in there and take my trash in there and throw it away and grab a pop. And I come rolling back in the kitchen. Same couch. This time, this little guy is on the top of my couch behind one of my cushions, just leaning on the cushion and watching TV. And I don't think he noticed me, but I come walking back there and I'm looking dead at him. The next thing you know, he kind of slowly stops and looks at me. Then he just drops behind the couch. And I said, crap. And I'm just like, I got little people in the house. That's not good. My wife's going to freak out. And I told her about it when she got home, and she just said out loud, hey, you little guys, you guys behave. Don't cause no trouble in here. No mischief, no nothing. Don't touch it. If it's not yours, don't bother it. And she said it out loud. And everything went smooth. They didn't touch nothing. They didn't mess with anything. They didn't take anything. They didn't hide nothing. And I said, well, that's pretty cool. And this went on for a while. And I ended up calling a friend up north. And my friend was telling me that, yeah, you can work with them. I said, really? And I said, I've never worked with them before because we were always told to fear them. And she goes, no, you don't have to fear them. I said, they'll work with you. You know, and I was like, okay. And I told her what was going on and how I'm seeing them. And then late at night, you can hear two little feet running around in the living room, then run to the kitchen, then go into the kids' room, my grandkids' room, then run back out. And you can hear all this. And I'm sitting here kind of thinking to myself, that is funny as can be. I should be scared, but at the same time, I'm not. And she told me what to do. So I told my wife about it. And the deal is, in order to work with them and have them work with you and technically you kind of have to bribe them. And I started laughing about that part. And she goes, they like shiny things. And I said, okay, well, I had $1.50 in quarters. No, take that back. The little people were in the house for a while. And my mother came down to visit. And I was telling my mom about the situation. And my mom brought me a huge grain bag. The paper grain bags, but it was filled full of Indian perfume. The technical term for it is wild bergamot. It's what we call it, Indian perfume, the aroma it gives off. And we use it. And while the bag was sitting in the kitchen, leaning against the quarter upright with all the plants in there, dried out plants and everything, my bag started kicking around. And I'm like, what the heck is going on? So I kind of grabbed the bag and looked in there. I don't see nothing. I lean it back up against the wall and it starts getting kicked around like, there's a cat inside that thing. And my mom comes walking into the kitchen. I said, what did you bring down with you? She goes, nothing. I just brought the Indian perfume down. it's in the bag. I said, yeah, I know it's in the bag, but what else did you bring with it? She goes, nothing far as I know. About that time, that bag started kicking again. And I'm just like, Mom, you brought a little person with you. And she goes, are you joking? I said, no, I'm not joking. I said, I looked in the bag. There's nothing in there. But when I put the bag against the wall, it starts kicking around like there's a cat inside there trying to get out. And she goes, oh my goodness, they're hiding in my Indian perfume. And these plants are tall. They're about 3 foot, 3.5, almost 4 foot in height. Big plants. And she goes, I guess they're staying in my plants then. And I guess I brought one with us. I said, he ain't going to go home with you, not the way it is right now. And I said, he's not from here. And she goes, I know. She goes, what are you going to do? I said, I'm just going to take the bag outside. And I went, took the bag outside, went across the backfield, opened up the back gate, went out the back gate, shut the back gate. Now I'm standing in the alley. So I took out all the Indian perfume. I was gently shaking it. And I said, I don't see nothing. I don't hear nothing. So I said, okay. So like I said, all my Indian perfumes leaned up against the back of the gate. And I'm just like, okay. So I grabbed the bag and turned it sideways to empty it out. And when I turned it to empty it out, something fell out. It just went thump. It just hit the ground. And next thing you know, I heard little feet and it took off running south. It just took off in a straight line and ran. And I'm just like, what the heck? I couldn't see it, but I could hear it. And I could see the little dust trail moving. And I'm just like, okay, you don't see that every day, and I kind of laughed around about it. And I was like, all right. So I grabbed my Indian perfume, stuck it back in the bag, and I went back in the house. She goes, what happened? So I told her what happened, and she started laughing. And I said, well, I laughed too, because now here's the kicker. He doesn't know where he's at. And she goes, he'll come back. I said, yeah, he'll come back. So he came back, and he stayed outside. You can hear him running around on the porch and everything. And I remember I still have 2 little people in the house too. So I don't know how he got in the house. It must have been when I took trash out or something, but he ended up coming in the house. And now at night, you can hear 3 little set of feet running through the house. And it's funny, but my wife is very uneasy about it. And like I said, we're taught to fear them. And as you're growing up, you ever run into them, you see them, you go the opposite direction and try to get out of there as fast as possible, because they will try to take over your body. And we were always taught that. But in this situation, after like I said a while ago, I was talking to my friend up north, and I said, they can't be bribed. And I was like, all right. So my wife got home and I explained the situation to her, and she goes, okay, we'll do it before we go to bed. I said, all right. I had $1.50 in quarters. All right. So I laid out 3 sets of quarters at the bottom of my bed, at the headboard on the bottom. I had 3 sets of quarters, $1.50. And I said it out loud. I said, all right, little guys, you guys know who I'm talking to. I said, I have a job for you. If you're going to stay in my home and occupy my home and eat my food, I have a job for you, and I'm going to pay you. And I said, there's 3 sets of quarters up here. Each one of you guys get 2 quarters each. And if you take the job, I know you're going to take the quarters. And that's all I said. I said, that's your job. Your job is to watch my home, protect my home. Don't let anything negative or bad enter my home. That is your job. And I left it at that. So I turned the lights out. My wife's sitting there saying, what do you think they're going to do? I said, I don't know. We'll find out in the morning. If they take the quarters, they took the job. She goes, okay. So we ended up going to sleep. Well, we wake up the next morning. I woke up before her, and I grabbed my flashlight, aimed it down there, and lo and behold, all 3 sets of coins were gone. And my wife was waking up. I said, the coins are gone. I said, they took them? I was like, yes, they took them. I said, now we got 3 guardians watching this house. And at night, you could actually hear one run from the back door to the front door, and the one from the front door would run to the middle of the room. The one in the middle of the room would run to the back door. So they were switching out jobs. One at the front door, one at the back door, and one roams on the inside. And they would switch out, probably like every 40 minutes, every 30 minutes, somewhere in there. I always thought that was so neat. And I've lived with them for 10 years until we moved. And as far as I know, they're still protecting that house that we left. And it's just been a great experience, with these little guys. And our little people are 12 inches in height. It'd be like the size of a Barbie doll. But our little people dress like the old ways. They'll have breastplates. They'll wear leather leggings, moccasins. They'll have their hair braided, bows and arrows and spears. That's how our little people are here. Other tribes, surrounding tribes, you got the Tonkawas that are to the west of us. Tonkawas their little people are the size of infant babies. That's the size of their little people. And if you go to the Osages, which is on the east side of the river from us, their little people are the same height as ours, 12 inches. But they paint themselves blue. They use the blue clay. Osage has blue clay and red clay, but they'll paint themselves blue. Now, if you go to the Otos little people are the same height as ours, 12 inches. Now, if you drive 45 minutes south to the Pawnee Nation, the Pawnees little people, they're about 3 foot in height, 3-footers. And those are the different sizes and different heights. Ours wear clothes. The surrounding tribes wear clothes. The little people wear clothes. But if you go to the Pawnees, their little people are naked, point blank naked and dirty. And I just find that just really weird, but it is what it is. And just the little people are interesting. The ones that we had that lived in our house were extremely good people, or little people. They weren't mean to us. They didn't do anything to us. They basically watched the house and took care of us and watched over us. And they made sure nothing came into our house that was negative or anything bad. And that was one of my favorite stories when dealing with the little people. But there's also been other incidences where little people were jokesters, tricksters. They like teasing, stuff like that. They'd make things disappear. You'd get mad, start yelling, and next thing you know, they would appear in another part of the house where you've already looked. They love taking car keys. And that was my run-in with the little guys. I respect them highly. And I do a lot of meditating. And in my meditations, if I need to talk to somebody or talk to a certain spiritual being, I can bring them up and they'll be in meditating waiting for me. And one time, it was weird. I wasn't expecting to run into a Bigfoot or anything like that in meditation, but I ended up running into a Bigfoot in meditation. And he says, "Follow me. We need to go somewhere." I said, "All right." So I followed him and we're in the woods. I'm deep in meditation, deep in meditation. And we come to an entrance, like a little cave, and he walks in, and I bend down because he's on all fours walking in, and I'm following him into this cave. And when we get into this cave, there's torches and there's fire in there and all kinds of interesting things. And I'm seeing things move, and I'm just like, okay, where am I at? I know nothing's going to hurt me. I'm in meditation, so I know I'm safe in bed. And while I'm in there, in the cave, there's a big stand in front of me. It's probably about 9 feet wide. It's about 6 feet in height. But there were tiers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There were 5 tiers. And next thing you know, I hear people talking. And I'm like, okay. And I'm just sitting back, and the Bigfoot's standing off to my left side, and I'm sitting here going, okay, what's going on here? And I'm not saying anything. I'm kind of looking at the Bigfoot. He's looking at me. Then he's looking back over there at the stand. Those tiers were getting filled. I can see people coming in from the left and the right, and those were their council. And the tiers kind of slant back like stairs, but there were levels. And on these tiers, these little people were coming out. And they were sitting there, and they started talking to the Bigfoot. And the Bigfoot kind of looked at me. Then he started mind speaking to me. Then he says, "Okay, Pete, this is the council in your area of little people. This is them." And I said, "Okay, why am I here?" I said, "They wanted to actually meet you." And I'm like, "Okay." And I said, "This is interesting." And then they actually addressed me by my name. And they said, we wanted to actually get to meet you because you're friends with Indalinge, the creature of the night, and how you became friends. We watched you. We've always watched you when you've been in the woods with them. And we wanted to get to meet you because if they trust you, we can trust you. I was not expecting that. And they say, every time you come to the woods, we know you're here. And we know you're a good person. The people you bring down with you are good people. And I said, okay. And they said, that's good. I mean, we're trying to get an establishment going. And I'm like, okay. And I just kind of left it at that. And next thing you know, while I was in deep meditation, I started to hear myself snore. And I said, dang, I must be deep in meditation. Next thing you know, I hear myself snore again. Then I started laughing and then I snapped out of it. I was like, oh, man. And I was a little upset with that because I was in the front of the Little People's Council and they were addressing me, but still, anyway, when I go to the woods, I talk out loud to them. I say, I'm back. I'm here just minding my business and just observing. And I've always left it at that. And that's how I actually got to meet them up front and close and personal. Then I had my little guys at my house. I think they were sent to me, but that one from the north was a surprise. But I've had several stories from other people on this subject of little people and their encounters and their run-ins with them. And it was always interesting to listen to how their little people acted and compare it to my stories and my run-ins with them. And it's been great. Like I said, me being on this journey with the Bigfoots and me getting to meet a lot of other beings. And this kind of goes up to another story. In episode 117, I talked about how the dog man was there and how he let his presence be known and him walking away, busting trees and everything and branches off. And he didn't care. He knows he's one of the baddest boys in those woods. And me getting the students out of the area, and then me and Bruce finally walking or running up to the top as well. Well, I had to address this with the Bigfoots. And I asked out loud, what's he doing here? Why is he here? This is the first time I've heard of us ever encountering a dog man in this county, or even in our history. We never ran across dogmen until just now. What's going on? And I left that question out there in the woods. Well, 2 days later, I'm in meditation again. This time, the same Bigfoot that took me to see the little people was waiting. And he gestured, follow him. I said, all right. And we were in the woods again. And this time, I'm standing there with him, and he's kind of looking to the south, and I'm looking to the south, and I see this big dog. I mean, big wolf. Pretty. I mean, just pretty. Completely silver. I mean, white or silver, whatever you want to call it, but to me, it looks silver. And he had a black mask, a natural black mask, where his fur was black and it went across his eyes. And he gets closer to us, and I'm scared. I'm not lying. The stories I've heard on these dogmen, they're mean. And I'm kind of getting closer to the Bigfoot, getting ready to jump behind him, and he kind of grabs me and pushes me back out there. And I looked at him, what are you doing? And I'm just sitting here thinking, dang, he's gonna get me killed. But anyway, in meditation, I said, oh yeah, I'm in meditation right now. I'm good. I'm all right. I'm good. I'm safe. Okay. Well, the wolf in front of me, he's huge. I'm not joking. He's huge. He gets within 10 feet of me, and then he stands up. And I was like, dang, it's what I was looking at was awesome in sight. You know what a timber wolf looks like. I mean, this looked like a timber wolf, but just beefy, muscular. He stands up. Then he looks at me. Then he starts talking to me in my own native language. I'm not a fluent speaker. I can pick up words here and there. And he's talking to me. And I looked at him. Then I turned and looked at the Bigfoot. Then he looked back at me. And I looked back over at this wolf. And his name is English term. He was white coat. is what his name was. And, but I thought Silvermane sounded better. But, but his name was Whitecoat. And he was talking. I said, I don't speak Ponca. I'm not fluent. And he just kind of looked at me, and in a way, he looked surprised. And I said, I didn't grow up here on the tribal lands. I grew up here part of my life, then I moved away, then I came back. So I'm not, if you would say, traditional in our language. And he just kind of looked at me, and then he started talking to me in English. And he introduced himself as Whitecoat. And he goes, I'm here to speak to you. And I'm like, okay, we're coming through your lands. I'm the leader of this tribe coming through. And I'm here to let you know that we're going to be coming and passing through in 3 days. On that third day, you need to tell your people to stay inside their homes. If they live out in the country, stay in their homes. If they live on the edge of town, tell them to stay in their homes. Tell the people to stay in their homes. And I was like, okay, in 3 days. And he said, in 3 days, we'll be coming through. And I'm like, why are you coming through our lands now? You've never been through our lands. And he goes, we're looking for a safer path to travel. And I'm like, okay, but all right. I just left it at that. I was wanting to ask more questions, but I didn't want to push my luck with him. And he turned around, dropped to all fours, and walked back south. And I looked at the Bigfoot, and he's looking at me, and then boom, I snapped out of meditation. And I was just sitting there thinking about it. And I was like, wow, I was talking to a dog man. And I was fascinated. It blew my mind. Like I said, if you were to see a timber wolf, imagine a timber wolf maybe 2 feet, 3 feet longer, and maybe 1.5 feet, 2 foot taller. But when he stood up, he was easy 6.5 foot. Easy 6.5. Heck, he could have been 7 foot. He's a little hunched over, but he could have been 7 foot. And what I saw were paws on the back, but his front paws weren't paws. They were hands. And like I said, he was muscular. And I was just totally amazed. So the next day that evening, I told my wife about who I was introduced to. And she was kind of fascinated and blown away about it. She goes, but why are they coming through our lands? I said they needed a safer path. In 3 days, they're coming through. And I need to tell the people to tell them to stay inside if they live in the country on the edge of town. And she goes, well, you better get over there. You better tell the seniors. And I did. The next day, I went over to the senior center. And all our seniors, dang near all of them in the tribe, not all of them, but the majority of them are in the building having lunch. And I come strolling in there, pay for my lunch, grab my lunch, and I sit down. I'm visiting with all the women and the men in there. And at the end of it, I stood up and I had to say something. And I told them what happened in my meditation, who I got introduced to. And I said, you've been hearing about that dog person over in Oto. They were like, yeah, we heard about that one. I said, that one that was seen over there, me and Bruce Johnson seen it over here. And they were just looking at us. I said, weren't you scared? I said, oh, we were both terrified. But at the same time, we had 7 young females with us and their mom. I said, if we had to go toe to toe, we'd go toe to toe with it. And they was just like, you're brave, but you're also crazy. And I said, yeah, we were thinking the same thing, but I told them in my meditation who I was introduced to and who I was talking with. And they just kind of sat there and they really listened to what I had to say. I was expecting backlash, but there was no backlash. And they all kind of, when I got done telling them, stay in your homes. You need to tell everybody that lives out in Brussie, that lives out on the south side of the reservation. Everybody stay in their homes. And everybody that was in there is pretty much from every surrounding area. The reservation is 5 miles outside of Ponca City, Oklahoma. It's all country. And all the seniors were like, all right, we understand it and we get it. We'll start making our phone calls when we get home. I'll call a meeting. Some of them were calling meetings with their families and bringing everybody in, and was going to relay what I told them to them. Well, on that third night, or that third day, that third night, several families heard things outside. They said it sounded like a bunch of dogs just passing through. And they actually, one of them actually wanted to go outside and look at them. But at the same time, the wife was like, you stay in here. You were warned. Stay in your homes. Do not go outside. You're going to do that. And he did. But he ended up coming to the senior center on the fourth day, and he told us what he heard. He didn't look outside. He didn't go outside. He wanted to, but he didn't. His wife cut him off and said, you're staying in here. And he stayed inside. But he told us what he heard. And he said it sounded like a bunch of dogs. He goes, it had to have been hundreds. I don't know if it was hundreds. It could have been less. I don't know. I can't remember. But he said it just sounded like a giant pack coming through. And he stayed inside. He wanted to go look, but he didn't because his wife would have knocked him out. And I'm just like, thank goodness it's over, But from that point on, they've been coming through yearly. And usually I'll get a heads up when they pass through. But we had that one brown one that stays here, but he kind of lives over in the Oto territory, the Oto tribal lands. But he does come over here to our lands and passes through to go to the river. And it's been interesting with the dogmen around. You really don't see them at all during the days, but at nighttime you do hear stories of them around homes and moving through. Once they pass through, they're done coming through here. And it won't be until next year we see them again. And this started back in 2013, 2014. And it's been a yearly thing after that. So it's been interesting. And that was the reason, the answer to the question in episode 117. And like I said, my journey has been very interesting on who I've met, the beings I've seen and encountered. And I know it's only going to be increasing more spiritually. And it has been increasing more spiritually. In the beginnings, even before I got into Bigfoots, I was in the paranormal for about 20 years. And I switched over. So I know both sides extremely well. The ghost side as well as the Bigfoot side. With the Bigfoots, we have more cryptids involved, more beings that are in our realm. And like I said, for me, it's been an awesome journey. With ghosts, that's a different thing, but as for the spiritual beings, it's been an awesome journey for me. And I wouldn't trade it for anything. I wouldn't give it up or anything. It's been awesome. My encounters, the things I've seen, the things I've run into. But there are bad encounters like I talked about, a while back. People do run into bad Bigfoots, upset Bigfoots. Mad, just upset, pissed off, and wanting to hurt you. Well, there's always a reason behind that. And if this is the Bigfoot everybody talks about in your area, and people have shot at it and probably hit him and everything else, he doesn't like humans. And if that happens, I hate to say this, you need to get out of the area. But sometimes they can be reasoned with and just let them know, hey, I didn't shoot at you. I didn't do anything. You're just taking your anger out on me. Don't take your anger out on me. I didn't do nothing to you. But at the same time, respect them and leave the area. There are bad encounters, but usually they've been shot at. And that's why a lot of them don't like humans. The ones in my area, there's only one that I know of that's been shot at. The rest of them haven't. And they live in harmony with nature, and they usually live in harmony with the people that surround them. I've heard of good encounters. Basically all good encounters. Especially my people have had with them. There hasn't been one bad encounter. If they don't want you in an area, they will scare you out of an area so you don't come back. And usually you don't go back. But every situation is different. My encounters that I've had have all been peaceful. Heck, some of them been funny. But I'm different from everybody else. I'm not the same. But like I said, I've been out of state. I've been all over this state of Oklahoma. I've been up to Kansas. I've been up to Nebraska. I've been out in Arizona, New Mexico. I've never had a bad encounter. Never. But like I said, that's me. If you get to see one, in real life by accident, like I said, man, that's a blessing because they don't always show themselves to everybody. The ones that I've always ran into could disappear at will. And I've seen it done. It's mind-blowing, but I've seen it done. But these are my stories. And some people can relate and some people can't. It is what it is. So that's the end of my time. If you have any questions or anything like that, you can put it in the comments and leave your email address or something like that. I'll probably get back to you. But, it's always good to meet other researchers and ask what they've run into. And it's always been fun to listen to their stories and their encounters. And mine have just been crazy because mine are usually mind-blowing to a lot of them in my situation. Because they've never ran into something like that, or they can come out and visit you if they want to sit and hang out with you, That's what mine do. And I get to hang out with them. There is a communication gap, but sometimes there's a couple of them that can mind speak. And the best way I can describe it to you, if you hear them talking and they're talking to you and dang good and well you can't understand them. This is going to sound weird, but feel what they're saying. If you can feel what they're saying, you can get an understanding for them or whatever they're talking about. It's a weird way of communicating. They do understand us, but we don't understand them. And this was a friend of mine that taught me this technique. When they talk, feel what they're saying. If you can feel what they're saying, then you can get an understanding. And it sounds weird. I'm not lying. It does. It sounds crazy. But if you can do that, then sometimes you can get an understanding for them. And like I said, I've been doing this Bigfoot thing not as long as some of the people that have been on here. I've been doing it from 2010. But, I kind of grew up with them. I didn't really pay that much attention to them. I'm more paranormal than I am a Sasquatch guy, but I'm turning into a Sasquatch guy. And all my experiences and all my learning techniques that I've got are from my old ways, my tribal ways. And my techniques are from what I was taught from my elders. And they work. They really do work. And that's going to be it for me right now. So, like I said, I've probably given you guys close to maybe 50 stories of my encounters with Bigfoot and a couple little people. Like I said, I ran across some things in these woods that just plain scare you. And heck, if it can scare you, I know dang good and well it scared me, and it did. A couple of them did scare me. But that's going to be the end of the show and the end of my time. I gave you guys 3 episodes, and I hope you enjoyed them. I really do. I was kind of surprised and honored when Vic asked me to be on the show. And the good turnout that came with the comments and everything. Like I said, these are my encounters. These are my stories. And like I said, I have the witnesses to back them up. And like I said, it's been a fun journey for me. Everybody's different. But if you stay with it and you keep doing whatever you're doing and it works out, then so be it. That's your all stories, your encounters. I just like to say thank you to Vic. And that's the end of my time. You guys have a good night. My name is Pete Buffalohead. And these are my encounters and my Bigfoot sightings.
Well, that's it for tonight's show. If you've had a Bigfoot sighting and would like to be a guest, please go to mybigfootsighting.com and let us know. Thanks for listening. Have a great night.
Seen a bunch of rundown no-horse towns where the church is the backbone, loves in the plow, and the 5-string melodies grooving, with the farmland rows where the roots run deep, beyond the noise of the busy streets, where the songs of the South are soothing. When I hear the front porch picking down, home rhythm ringing out, I don't run from banjo music. Yeah, the sound getting through it. Getting through the day on Scruggs and Skags, bucking hay bales to those Tennessee jams. There's no other way that I'd do it. When I hear the front porch picking down, home rhythm ringing out, I don't run from banjo music. Yeah. Something going backwards and double time, getting in the soul and the tremolo Kentucky style. Those are the anthems drumming out, country boy living. When I hear the front porch picking down, home rhythm ringing out, I don't run from banjo music. Pace of the city life drives me wild. The only tune is the cars rushing by, with the bass on the stereos booming. When I hear the front porch picking down, home rhythm ringing out, I don't run from banjo music. Yeah. Something going backwards and double time, getting in the soul and the tremolo Kentucky style. Those are the anthems drumming out, country boy living. When I hear the front porch picking down, home rhythm ringing out, I don't run from banjo music. Something going backwards and double time, getting in the soul and the tremolo Kentucky style. Those are the anthems drumming out, country boy living. When I hear the front porch picking down, home rhythm, fried chicken, porch swing, mama's best sweet tea kind of sound.